This is my 25th Diggers and Dealers in a row. I think I first came here in 1999 when I was working on the Cause project with Joe Gutnick's group, so it's a long time ago. I've probably done 10 or 12 presentations, first one with Rumble, and very, very excited about the story here today. Diggers reminds me a bit like, getting an iron infusion. Even if the market's really bad, you get up here and everyone's got a smile on their face, and they have a few beers, and it doesn't feel like, small caps are having a really tough time at the moment. It doesn't. Everyone's in good form, so I'm pleased to see that. Right, so this little story is about the 6 Ps. In my experience, and I've been running, organisations like Rumble for over 25 years, you've got to have really good people, right? It's the 6 Ps. You've got to have a good project or projects. You've got to have production or a pathway to production. It's got to be profitable by its very nature. Otherwise, why would you develop it? You've got to have potential, exploration potential. That's what a lot of investors buy. And you can only do it these days with partnerships, whether it's with your shareholders, long-term shareholders, retail, brokers, bankers, the TOs, the brokers that support you through equity raisings, and all of the people that work for you, contractors and like. So you've got to have those partnerships, otherwise you just can't do it on your own. So it then becomes the total package. And I think what you'll find with Rumble, there's a lot more inside Rumble than you'd see from the outside. First of all, you've got to have good people, and we do have some good people. That's a photograph yesterday at the booth. Boys are out there early, speaking the story. A lot of activity there in the morning, and then obviously people's interest started to wane, and they were back there again after we put a really good announcement out, which we'll talk about in a minute, about Tungsten, which sort of came out of nowhere for us, but that's exciting. Look, I just pull together people. I mean, I'm a process engineer by training, but I just love building companies and actually having people that I can work with and mentor and bring the best out in those people. A business like Rumble, it's very focused on exploration, so we've got a very, very, very powerful exploration team, and they've had some wonderful discoveries inside of Rumble with Irahidi, but also in their previous lives. I won't mention them by names, most people will know the people, but a fantastic team of exploration people. The board's rounded out by engineers and commercial people, and it's a great board. And when I looked at moving on from Poseidon, I really looked at the people almost first. It's just so important. As you get older, I guess your radar goes up a bit and you're just kind of looking for the people first. The project's got to be good as well. So I'm very pleased to say we've got a fantastic team of people. I call this the show bag theory. You've got to have good projects, right? I can remember my kids going to the World Show and they'd spend hours going through the Western Australian trying to work out which was the best show bag to buy. And the problem with show bags is there's a lot of the ones that they look good on the outside, they're full of crap on the inside. You don't want to buy too many of those, right? What you want to do is you want to buy the hidden gem. So that's the show bag that doesn't look fantastic on the outside, but it's full of gems on the inside. And I really think that Rumble is the best show bag you could buy as an investor. You've got to have more than one show bag. And you see some of these people came out with 20 or 30 show bags. I know most investors don't do that. They have 2 or 3. You've got to have this show bag in your repertoire. So what's in our Rumble show bag? Well, we've got Western Queen, which is an old gold asset, which is potentially will be another gold mine again in the not too distant future. And we've also got this incredible bonanza tungsten discovery, which we announced this morning. Absolutely no plan to do it a few hours before my presentation. I can absolutely guarantee you, only got the results over the weekend, got the board signed off on the announcement last night, we put it out this morning, so it certainly wasn't planned this way. Irahidi, which is a potential world-class polymetallic lead, zinc plus silver discovery, and we're very underexplored, and it's one of the biggest zinc sulfide discoveries in recent times in the world. And then we've got lots of other things in the show bag, as I mentioned. We've got Warra, which is around Western Queen, which is a potential new lithium province. We've got the tungsten on top of that, and then we've got all this other stuff that's in the system as well. Braeside, Lamel, Waru, Manara Gully, and the Fraser Range. So you can really dial up base metals, gold, silver, PGMs, uranium, tungsten, vanadium. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff inside the show bag, and what we've got to do, obviously, is really, it's almost just what do we focus on? And so realistically, as like a little kid, you pull out the best stuff first. So let's have a look at what we're going to focus on first. So that's Western Queen. Now, this is a mine that was most previously mined by Ramelius. We bought it off Ramelius in about 2019 for a small amount of money and some stock, and they're still a shareholder. There's been over 250,000 ounces mined at just around 9 grams, so very high grade, and it was processed at the mills close by. You can see that we're only about 40 k's from Spartan's Dalgaranga project, and most people know that story. They're speaking tomorrow, but an amazing new discovery there, nearly 1 million ounces at over 5 grams. We've still got a resource there in a couple of open pits and underground that's going to be it's currently 160,000 ounces, but it was done at 2,700 gold. So one of the things we do want to do very quickly is do a recut of that at current gold prices. The geology, it's associated with a major shear zone. I'm not a geo, but the guys get really excited about that. And there's a strong analogy between the ore bodies that we have at Western Queen and the Never Never discovery that I just mentioned, which is nearly 1 million ounces at over 5 grams. So we're hoping that analogy proves to be correct. Western Queen itself is nearly 3 kilometres of potential, of strike, if you like. And you can see there on the slide, you can see Western Queen that was mined, and then you've got Western Queen, south and also central. That's where most of the production came. Most of it came out of Western Queen central, actually. That's about 190,000 ounces, a small amount from Western Queen south, which is where we've been focusing our exploration efforts on. We've also got Barron, Duke, and really along there hasn't been a lot of drilling below about 150 metres by the previous owners. So there's a lot of potential here at depth as well, and that was obviously the success that Spartan had with Never Never. And some of these have been very high grades. As I mentioned, the average mine grade was nearly 9 grams. So there's the Never Never comparison, and this is scale to scale. So you can see Western Queen South on the left-hand side, and then you can see Spartan's Never Never resource, our resource, Western Queen South on the left, and Spartan's Never Never on the right-hand side closest to me. And you can sort of see the analogy there. Again, not being a geo, but that's what they tell me. The drilling that we've recently done, so we did a bit of drilling in June and July, really to replicate, look at depth extensions for Western Queen South and see if there's any parallel lodes. And I'm pleased to say that on both counts we were successful. So we did extend down plunge. You can see the yellow hits there, 5 metres of 5, and we also got another 12 at 3.5 and 14. We're still waiting for the assay results of 15. But in hole 13, we actually look like we've actually found a parallel lode below the existing one. So that's part of what we were trying to achieve, which we did with a very small drill program, given that we only had limited funds. So that was really important for us, that we were actually able to demonstrate that we do have the potential for more gold deeper here in the system. So how do we move this thing towards production? Well, if you go back to the previous slide that I showed you, you can see that we're only a couple of kilometres from Dalgaranga, which obviously isn't operating at the moment. I believe 18 months to 2 years. But the other two mills, being Westgold's Tuckabianna mill and also the Checkers mill that's owned by Ramelius, are within trucking distance, just over 100 kilometres. So that's something that we need to focus on. Can we get this project into production, and can we bring it online? Now, we've had a quick look. It's been mined previously. A lot of the permits are in place, and we believe, have this project into production within about 12 months. Now, that needs to be confirmed, and we've got a lot of work to do, but given the gold price and given the fact that there's mills close by that potentially have the capacity to take our material, given the grade, then obviously one of the things we need to look at is whether we can get this into production, and that's going to be our focus going forward in the short term. We need to find a partner. We don't want to do this on our own, and you're starting to see a lot of contractors now coming and doing partnerships with companies that have got ore bodies like ours at Western Queen. They can put their capital in, their equipment, and then we can have some sort of profit share arrangement down the track. And there's been a number of these announced recently. We like that model, and we've already started discussions with potential partners. So we see that as being a wonderful opportunity, given that we've got those resources, it's been mined previously, it's close to existing infrastructure. That's something that can add value very quickly for our shareholders, and we don't have to use our balance sheet, we don't have to borrow any money or raise any more equity to get these into production if we can partner up with somebody else. And obviously then one of the things we can do is use the cash flow from that production, if we can get into production, to actually find more resource and extend the project life. So that's the focus primarily for the team in the short term. And then let's talk about tungsten. So this was the announcement we put out this morning. I grabbed a slide out of the Group 6 presentation that I did in Noosa a couple of weeks ago, just to give people some context. They've got the project called Dolphin, which is down at King Island, and the resource grade there is about 0.9 tungsten trioxide. We've got intersections there, 2 metres of 8, just over half a metre at 18. I mean, these are, what you call bonanza grades. Now, who knows whether there's a resource or what the average resource would be. But if you look at that, you can see that in the world, most of the resources that are mined these days or in development are between 0.3 and 0.4. And you can sort of see that the difference between those resources and what these intersections are. It's one hole, but it is really encouraging, and we're extremely excited about. So we've got some pulps that we're assaying now of some of the previous drilling, and this hopefully is going to be a developing story. So moving on from that to Irahidi. Now this is, as I mentioned, is a globally significant resource. At about a 2% cut-off, we've got nearly or over 2 million tonnes of zinc, nearly 1 million tonnes of lead, and about 12 million ounces of silver. And this is what was originally attracted me to the project. Having come out of the old ACM, we had the Golden Grove project back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I worked on that project. So I was always interested in zinc. My grandfather on my mother's side worked at the zinc smelter in Tasmania, so I sort of grew up, I wouldn't say with zinc in my blood, because that's probably not a great thing, or not too much anyway, but certainly I've known zinc for a long time, and I've always been interested in big zinc projects, and this is a big project. It's a large scale, potentially low cost, open pitable ore body with the potential to be in production in a reasonable time frame. We're doing detailed metallurgy now, which is nearly completed. We're hoping to have that reported in September. We got slowed up a little bit by getting enough sample and then getting it through the system. The laboratories are very busy at the moment. And we're doing that detailed test work to look at optimisation of the recoveries and also whether there's beneficiation opportunities. If you drop that resource back to a 0.5 cut-off, there's nearly 500 million tonnes of resource. So it's a big system. And we've only drill tested probably 30% of the total 70-kilometre system. You can see the location there, about an hour north of Wiluna, so equidistant probably from Esperance or Port Hedland. You would probably ship the concentrate, which would be big volume, up through Port Hedland, where there's and there will be a new facility going in there. So well located. And I did mention before about the different cut-offs. You can run the numbers there, but at 0.5 you're sort of talking about over 500,000 tonnes of material. Exceptional growth potential. We've only got resources around Chinook, Tonka and Navajo, and you can see there that there's an awful lot of potential to drill test a lot more of the system. The metallurgy, I mean, being a concentrate salesman in my former life, you've got to have good quality material, and this will, you can see there that we're going to get good recoveries, 85 to 90%, we'll confirm that. A grade close to 60% of zinc, which is very important too, so it'll be a premium product. No, what appears to be at this stage, no penalties. It's a very coarse grind, so it'll mean it'll be cheaper to process. So all of those things are very positive. And as I said, we'll be putting out a full metallurgical report shortly. So with this business, where do we take it in the short term? Well, we want to recut those resources at Western Queen that we've got. Instead of using 2,700, let's use the current spot price. I call it 3,500. And let's look to find a partner that can help us develop this. So we don't have to put our balance sheet up. They can put their balance sheet up, their equipment. So I'm talking about a contractor. Then we want to add gold resources. We know there's potential there. We want to really have a look at this tungsten. What's the opportunity there? Have we got a tungsten resource? How big is it? What can we do with that? Can we mine that concurrently with the gold and process that separately and sell it on the open market? Irahidi, we've got to finish that metallurgy and get that reported. We want to then do internal scoping studies. We want to work out, what does this thing look like? What's the rough capex? What's the rough opex? How much zinc are we going to produce over how many decades? How much lead? How much silver? what's the annual production of concentrate going to look like, so we can go and start talking to majors about the potential for a partnership. With a project like this, we can't do it on our own. This is a big project, and so therefore we want to partner up with someone who's got the balance sheet to help us develop this project. Again, talking about partnerships. The other projects we've got, again, we can't do those on our own either, so we're talking about partnering up. Do we JV? Do we sell those assets, or do we come up with some other structure so that we can unlock that value? And it's all about, recognising the value. With a market cap today of $25 million, we are, everyone says that we're undervalued, but clearly there's an awful lot of value in this that needs to be unlocked. And our, shareholders that have been with us for a long time, we need to do that for them because they've been very patient and persistent. And I'm very excited about taking this business forward. I'll just put one more slide up. I've been doing these presentations for a long time. When I first started, my kids were, I don't even think Finnegan was born. And so backed by popular demand, this is the team now. So this is the other team. I've got the A team at Rumble, and this is the Harold team. So that's Banjo, Finnegan and Oscar, and you can see they get their looks from their mother, not from their father. Diggers and the mining industry has been fantastic to me. I joined mining in 1989, and it's put, my family, we've had a good life. The kids have all gone to good schools. I brought Oscar, my eldest son, up here some years ago, maybe 3 years ago, to Diggers. I paid him for a ticket for him for $1,000. He met Siobhan Palanka. He formed a relationship with her. He's been offered an internship with her, who she now works for RPM Global. So I'm so delighted that, through my grandfather, who was working at the zinc works in Tasmania, through to me and now my son Oscar, the mining industry has been very, very good to the Harold family, and so we're hoping to give that back in spades, and Rumble is the vehicle that will do that. Thanks for your time.